Hello, welcome back to the Grisaia. The next morning, I wake up drenched in sweat. Not that anything was out of the ordinary, just the usual nightmare. As planned, I woke up at 2:30 to check on Makina. The girl was still out like a lay, drooling onto an already filthy pillow. All well and good. But when I tried to go back to sleep, I found my nerves were badly on edge. Although I kept my eyes shut and turned around in my sleeping bag many times, I couldn't manage to get much rest. Oh wait. I had to look at something. When I did nod off into light slumber, I'd spend maybe 15 minutes in the nightmare, then jerk awake again. The pattern played out again and again, straight through to morning. Just how long will it take before I can forget that day? The memory is glued in place, never fading, no matter how many years pass. I can't even remember the dull sensation of the weapon against my palm. As I wipe beads of sticky sweat from my forehead with the back of one hand, my half-open eyelids twitch at the touch of summer sunlight. The light pouring in through the window is already intense, suggesting another blazing hot day to come. This is no good. My harsh breathing just doesn't want to settle down. I can't get back into my normal rhythm. This heavy, irritating feeling, as though I've got some malevolent spirit squatting on my back, lingers on and on. Suddenly realizing my throat's painfully dry, I force my bleeding body up off the ground and crawl out of my sleeping bag. I pour myself a glass of tap water from the kitchen sink, and then another, and another. I can't stop sweating. No matter how many times I wipe the salty liquid off my face, the beads keep trickling down. In the moment I realize they're actually tears, I sense someone gazing at me. Nothing's wrong. No doubt woken by the sound of the gushing faucet, Makina is sitting up in bed. Her eyes are still bleary with sleep, but her gaze is focused intently on me. It's nothing. I'm just sweating. Rather than embarrassment at letting the girl see me crying, fear and having revealed my weakness takes precedence. And as by some vaguely defined shadow, overwhelmed by the need to escape, I hurriedly throw on my running clothes.
Papa!
Gonna run for a while. Beyond pathetic. No matter how many years pass, I'm still a gutless weakling brought to tears by dreams. I'm always running away from something. Always being chased by shadows. Even after my master took me in, this fundamental cowardice never really went away. I need to protect Makina. For her sake, of course, but also for mine. If I were to lose even her, I don't think I'd be able to get back on my feet again. I got into the muggy morning as if fleeing from that frightening thought. Makina, are you really alright with this? This is really scaring me. Very well, now then, how about I'll rob you of your... Okay. Here we go. Okay then.
緒に避けちゃうし、ごめんなさい。今日はもうギブってことで。
Let me explain something to you, Makina. When a man sets his mind on something, he can't just casually reverse course halfway through. You understand?
そりゃわかるけど。
Okay then, let's get back to it. Makina, wasn't that a figure of speech? It seems you're literally tearing. Tearing?
避けちゃった。
Why?
それこそおつまみチーズのごとく。
And having been ripped apart, Makina.
二人になっちゃいました。
So is that his dream?
ってな感じでマキナが二人に。
What is wrong with you, woman? When I returned from my run, I found Amane waiting for me in the lounge. What kind of dreams are you having? From what she tells me, it seems Makina has been acting strangely. Early this morning, the girl visited Amane's room with a somewhat discouraged look on her face and proceeded to sit around sighing heavily. Amane tried to talk to her, but she answered only in vague grunts and monosyllables. Speculating that things hadn't gone well in bed last night, Amane searched for appropriate words of comfort, but when she looked back after taking her eyes off the girl for a brief moment, it seems that Makina had begun vigorously kneading wheat flour dough in the kitchen, cheerfully singing an incomprehensible mystery song to herself. Puzzled at this rapid improvement in her mood, Amane shrugged and went off to take a shower, but when she returned to her room, this time she found Makina curled up in the corner of the room with her head in her hands, groaning miserably. Faced with these absurdly dramatic and seemingly random mood swings, Amane arrived at a bold hypothesis.
マキナは二人いる。これはそういうトリックなのかと。
Alright, Amane. First of all, let's think this over rationally. Who would this trick be trying to deceive, and to what end?
いやまあ別に私も本気で言ってるわけじゃないけどね。昨日の夜何かあったのかなってちょっと気になってさ。
Nothing worth mentioning. I do have a rough idea as to the root cause of Makina's unusual behavior. The girl's had a heavy problem fall onto her out of nowhere, and it's not something she can carelessly discuss with her friends, but moping around in silence would only attract concern, making her feel even more awkward and miserable. So she forced herself to smile and sing in an attempt at lightening the mood. But soon enough, some careless thought abruptly reminded her of her worries. And once again, Makina ended up with her head in her hands, sighing and groaning over the problems she can't possibly resolve on her own. The one and only person she can really talk to about all this is me. Seeing tears on my face this morning must have worsened her emotional turmoil. Rather than running off in an inept attempt at hiding what happened, I should have sat down and talked to the girl honestly. Looking back on it now, I regret that choice.
それで結局昨夜は男女の性的な行為は営まれたのでしょうか。
Again, why? Well, hello to you two. I mean, why are you even here?
風見さんとマキちゃんが同衾するというお話を昨夜マネさんから聞き及びましては、老婆心とでも申しましょうか、マキちゃんの友人として安閑としてはいられようもなく、結果の遺憾を本人の口から厳しく問いただそうかと思いまして。
Well, like, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I didn't do anything I need to feel guilty about. Makina came to my room and slept in my bed. I slept on the floor. That's it. Nothing else happened. Clear enough for you?
ああ、だからマキナ、なんか元気がなかったのね。風見さん、あなたには失望しました。がっかりです。
Sorry, why?
いいユージ、女の子がね、男の部屋に泊まるってのは、それはもうやって OK ってことなのよ。
I really don't think that's a universal law. Personally, I've heard plenty of stories about women crashing at a male friend's place after missing the last train home. Then awkwardly shooting the guy down when he tries to make a move.
抱かれる意を決し、いつもより念入りにお風呂に入って、抱えた枕で高鳴る胸の鼓動を隠しつつも、さあいつでも抱きなさいと身構えていれば、あっさりこれではマキちゃんの女としてのプライドがズタズタです。
Okay, but what exactly are you telling me to do here?
マキナなら今私の部屋でパン焼いてるから、そっと背中を抱きしめて、マキナ、お前が欲しいって言えばいいのよ。
But look, what if she just shakes me off and yells, "Cut it out!" or something? Now I'm the one nursing the bruised ego. Sulky women are troublesome beyond measure. The representative director of the Troublesome Women's Society, Madam GB, is the prototypical example. Not only will she shriek, "Cut it out!" when you try to make amends, if you actually stop, she'll get even angrier. It's truly incomprehensible.
なんだかんだと大人ぶってはいても、所詮はユージもお子ちゃまね。あんた全然分かってないわよ。
Just what I needed, another pain.
いい？ツンデレが嫌と言った時はオッケーってことなのよ。わかる？押すなと言ったら押せ！それがツンデレよ。
それはツンデレではなくリアクション芸人なのではないでしょうか。
In the first place, Makina is not exactly a tsundere, right?
とにかく嫌って言ってても心の中じゃ、もっとグイグイ来なさいよ。嫌がってる私を無理やりねじ伏せてみなさいよってことなのよ。わかる？
Well, sort of, I guess, maybe.
あなたたち、またこんなところで朝からたむろして、今度は何の悪巧みをしているというの？いや、別に悪巧みってわけじゃないわよ。マキナが昨べはユージの部屋に泊まったってのに、何もなかったって言うから。まずはそれが本当か嘘かって話から始まって、もし本当に何もなかったのなら何が原因なんだろうねって、そんな感じ？風見くん、
Yes.
あなたの他人から誤解されやすい性格や度を越した冗談を平気で口にする態度に軽微な問題はあったとしても、決して不誠実だとは思ってはいないし、 私はこれでも一応あなたのことは節度のある人物だと認識しています。ですから正直に言いなさい。イリスさんを抱いたの？
Like I said, I didn't touch the girl. How many times do you people expect me to explain this?
本当に
何もしなくていいよ。
ヘッダーレナ
Man,
の
you're so noisy, don't all start squawking at once.
お待たせパンが焼けたのよさ。ってみんなしてこんなとこ集まって
So with
何
the
してん
relation
の
they have now, why does this have to be the next step of it? Don't ask me too much time on their hands, the lot of them.
んなんかよくわかんないけど、みんなパン食べる？待望の新作 M8i2 なのよ。
M8i2？
そう、 M はメロンパンを表す形式記号で、8は8番目に作ったパンを表して、I は制作者のイニシャル、イリスの I。 最後の2は改良番号。2回改良を受けましたよって意味なのよさ。見た目は普通のメロンパンじゃない。何をどう改良したってのよ。パンは焼くと膨らむでしょ。だから表面のクッキー生地とベースのパンの間に波形に型抜きしたパイ生地が挟んであるのよさ。メロンパンの命ともいえるかじりついた時のザクザク感を大事にしてみました。
Sort of like the wing of an airplane, structurally speaking.
そう、ヒントはそれ。錦大帝の羽と同じ構造なのよさ。
No kidding? You've clearly put some thought into this.
まあ、食ってみ。結構いけるのよさ。
I'm telling you, she's smart. I see. That layer of air between the surface and main body really does emphasize the crispness of the cookie dough. Not half bad.
タハロー、みんなも食べて感想を聞かせてほしいのよさ。
どれどれ？あ、ほんとだ。なんか今までにはないメロンパン感覚。ふんわりザクザク？私これ結構好きかも。
でもなんかスカスカしてるわね。食べ応えが足りないんじゃない？
そうね。でも温かい状態でアイスクリームと一緒に食べたら美味しいかもしれないわね。
やはり食べ応えが今後の課題なのよさ。早急に M8i3 の開発に着手せねば。
What? You've already got the next edition planned out?
パンと生地の間に井桁を組んで、中にクリームをサンドするインテグラルタンク構造にしてみるのよさ。
So we're switching from the flying boat to the flying cigar, huh?
かじりついた瞬間にブビュッとクリームがはみ出る新構造、名付けてワンバイトオーバーフロー。これは売れる。食べにくいけど売れる。
I'm not sure if I follow the logic there, but a passion for experimentation is a good thing. In a society defined by abundant plenty, something that's tasty but tricky to eat might distinguish itself as high class precisely because of the slightest inconvenience involved. I think the tricky to eat thing will probably annoy some people. The girl might not be too far off conceptually. That's all well and good, but at this point Amaya takes the conversation down a troubling new path.
前から聞こう思うててんけど、なんでメロンパンなのに丸いん？丸いのはサンライズやん。
Thanks to this cryptic remark from our former Kanto resident, what the heck is a sunrise becomes the hot topic of the moment. Not that I particularly care. Good. Give him hell, kid. Before long, it's 8 o'clock and Makina's sitting off her shift at the bakery. Watching the girl march triumphantly out of the room, her prototype M812, or is that M8I2, I think? Okay, M8I2, safely stowed in a plastic bag, I nod deeply to myself. Alright then, guess I should get going as well.
あんたもどっか行くの？
Yeah, I'm working today myself. Even as I'm speaking, I quickly slip into one of my work uniforms and swing a bag full of tools over my shoulder. Let's see, 5:30 or so, as long as nothing comes up.
そう、じゃあマキナと大体同じ時間だね。晩ご飯用意して待ってるから、遅くなるときは電話して。
Will do. Alright then, I'll be on my way.
はい、いってらっしゃい。
Suppose this still qualifies as a part-time job, but it's different from the normal routine. Today, I'm working as Makina's bodyguard. Now, if you gave Amane a kiss goodbye, that would be good. I'd be okay with that. I received a full 70 million in advance payment on this one, so I can't exactly treat it like a game. That sort of money warrants a serious approach and professional attitude. Stepping out of the school gate, I casually turn my head to glance in the direction of the shopping district, immediately spotting Makina in the distance. After confirming that there aren't any suspicious cars stopped in the area, I start walking after her on the opposite side of the street. There'd hardly be any point to tagging right along after the girl. Easier and less conspicuous just to walk her down to the station in the first place. But I do have my reasons for taking a more furtive approach. First of all, I don't want Makina to be aware that I'm guarding her. If she knows I'm protecting her, that knowledge would start to influence her actions in revealing ways. Even if I told her to try and act normally, an awkward movement would give it away sooner or later, tipping off anyone who might be observing. If the enemy realizes Makina has a bodyguard, they'll change their tactics accordingly. That wouldn't be much fun from my perspective. The ideal is to keep both Makina and anyone targeting her ignorant of my presence. Therefore, after following her from a good distance for a while, I begin cutting quickly through side streets to get ahead of her. If I was targeting Makina, I'd spend 7 days at the very least on observation, trying to get a solid grasp for her daily patterns or behavior. Before making any attempt, I'd compile the most detailed possible data I could on her walking speed, route, and typical itinerary. Sniper, kidnapper, whatever, any pro would do the same. In fact, I spent some time this morning putting myself in the shoes of an assassin, narrowing down some potential sniping points. I devised and evaluated a few plausible spots, simulating attempts at shooting Makina on her way to and from the bakery, but as a target, the girl is genuinely troublesome. First of all, she's a shrimp, makes for a smaller target, more easily obstructed. Secondly, her actions are frequently hard to anticipate. If the girl comes across some hostess walking a cute little doggy, she'll without a doubt stop dead and hold a lengthy conversation with the animal. Cute. On top of it all, there's that fundamentally whimsical personality. If she needs to make 3 turns to her destination, she'll randomly change the roads she uses, so it's hard to nail down an exact route. Taking all those negatives into account, there are 2 spots that seem potentially effective. I take out a hand-drawn map from the pocket of my school uniform. It's a detailed sketch of the terrain within a decent radius of the station, with 2 lines connecting hypothetical sniping spots and impact points. The first potentially effective choice is a shot from on top of the pedestrian bridge over the East Beach Line rail track, which provides a good view of the main shopping district area. There's practically no cover to worry about, and the distance would only be about 300 meters. On top of which, you'd be hitting the girl from behind, making it easier to line up the shot. Problem is you'd stand out too much. If you openly set up shop with a rifle up there, even a dim-witted grade schooler would point and yell, "Look, homie, it's an assassin!" Considering the risk of exposure, you'd probably have to snipe from under the canopy of a parked truck. But that'd limit your angle of fire severely, making it easy to lose track of the target in a crowd not too appetizing. I do take a look just for safety's sake, but there don't seem to be any suspicious idling cars in the area I marked as suitable for sniping. Snipers need time to prepare. It's not like they're going to tear up. Fire a shot from the window, then peel out. Probably safe to conclude no one's shooting from there today. But there's also the second possibility. A shot from the 8th floor of the parking garage south of Mishima Cape Station, next to the fashion building currently under construction. The structure itself isn't open to the public yet, so entry is restricted. In other words, once you slip in, you'll be able to spread out a pretty sizable shop without any awkward questions from passers-by. Also, since it's a downward angle, you should get a clean line of sight. The target's short stature won't be nearly so much of an issue. However, the shot would require firing between 2 buildings, obstructed by an elevated part in the Mishima Cape Station itself. No matter where you position yourself, you're not going to get even a 2-meter slice of visibility. What's more, you'd be firing at Makina from the side as she walks past, from a range of 600 meters. If you take the time to identify the girl after she enters your field of view, she'll have walked right by before you can get a bullet over there. In other words, you've got one chance, and it only lasts a few seconds. Can't see it working without a cooperator following the target, constantly keeping you up to date on her movements. Stopping just before an intersection that connects my side street to the main road, I peer down at the map in my hand, play acting a blue-collar worker new to the area. And while glancing around as if to search for landmarks, I spot Makina approaching from the left. Keeping the brim of my plain workman's cap well over my eyes, I proceed to gaze in her general direction, not focusing on anything in particular. When you start deliberately darting your eyes around looking for suspicious people, you tend to get tunnel vision. Actually end up missing important really less. On the other hand, when you take in the scene as a whole, like you're appreciating a work of art, people moving in unusual ways will stand out as if painted in vivid hues. Both of those words start with APPR. Right now, we're near the very tail end of the morning rush to work. There aren't many people on the streets. Among the sparse crowd, one man quickly catches my eye. He's strolling along behind Makina, shooting her regular glances while putting on a great show of casually looking around the area. Complete amateur, any way you look at him. The tale's comically awful. I've seen love-struck middle schoolers stalking their crushes with more subtlety. At a glance, the guy seems to be in his late 20s or early 30s. He's wearing a 3,000 yen pair of loafers and a 2 for 3,000 suit. He's also got on a pair of eyeglasses with unusually thick black rims, perhaps as an attempt at disguise, but counterproductively, they make him stand out in the crowd. I could almost just leave this be, not like he's going to get anything worthwhile. But even so, I'd like to know who this kid belongs to. Folding the map into a neat square and putting it away in my chest pocket, I casually step into a nearby Busky Robinson ice cream store.
8月12日午前8時15分対象者の追尾を開始記録者井原直之
What is going to happen? Muttering into the mic of the IC recorder set up in the inside pocket of his jacket, Ihara followed the girl from behind with his eyes. Crying out loud, why did it turn out like this? It had been a year and a half since Ihara resigned his previous position in a security company and took a job at the ITS detective agency through a friend's recommendation. Detective work had appealed strongly to Ihara since childhood. He did, of course, understand by now that a real flatfoot's job wasn't the hard-boiled stuff from the stories. But changing the title on his business card from guard to investigator proved too tempting to pass up. However, even after 3 long months of training, he was relegated to sorting raw material, processing documents, and other desk work. And the rare field work that trickled down to him tended to be odd jobs like investigating adultery or searching for lost pets. He'd spent the bitter part of a year waiting unhappily for a chance to flex his muscles a little. Just as he was starting to feel something like regret at ditching the security guard position, a senior employee abruptly stopped by and said, "Chief wants to see you. Get a move on. Your clothes are fine as they are." Ihara's first reaction had been to tilt his head in confusion and try to remember if he'd screwed anything up lately. But then the man leaned down and whispered, "Seems like you're getting a pretty important job." He'd honestly been pretty excited for the chance to get some real work, thrilled even, until he learned that important job and amounted to stalking a little girl, more than a bit of a letdown. That said, this Irisu Makina kid, currently tromping along the sidewalk 8 meters or so ahead of him, was certainly keeping Aihara on his toes. The girl was constantly glancing around the area as she walked. As if something caught her eye, she'd often come to an abrupt and total halt. And, or something, keeping a constant distance was proving very difficult. And even worse, she seemed to have a habit of glancing briefly behind her every time she turned a corner, never failing to startle him. It almost seemed like she might just have a terrible sense of direction. That constantly moving gaze could be her memorizing the area, and turning around might be an attempt to imagine a trip back home ahead of time. My nose itches. But according to the documents, Irisu Makina had been living in the city for nearly a year. It was hard to imagine getting lost would be a big issue at this point. Was she simply one of those ADHD kids, or what? If you looked at her behavior as deliberate acts of caution, you could almost see her as a well-trained spy, but Aihara knew he was probably deluding himself on that one. Just some part of him trying to make this more interesting than it really was. In reality, Irisu Makina didn't project the fierce predatory menace of a trained agent. If anything, she looked more like a nervous little chipmunk, fearful of everything around her. The girl had come to a sudden stop. She seemed to be peering into the LCD screen of the small electronic toy tied to her belt. Unless he was careful, Aihara was going to overtake her. It might be Aihara. I think it's more likely it's Aihara. He knew the girl's destination, so it would still be possible to resume surveillance even after passing her, but for now he wanted to keep observing from behind. Aihara slowed his pace a little, then reached into his inner jacket pocket and pretended to search for a cell phone. What are you doing? Hurry up and get walking. At this rate, he was going to walk right on by her. It'd be hard to stay out of his target's field of vision much longer. At this point, maybe abandoning the surveillance outright would be best. It would be easy enough to take out his phone, check his mail, then abruptly turn around as if called back on some urgent errand. What do I do? Time to call it a day. 5 meters from his target, Aihara had decided to make up his mind one way or the other within the next 2 meters. But as he continued his slow approach, Irisu Makina suddenly looked up from the toy at her waist, then broke into a pattering run. Darn it, she's completely unpredictable. What now? Right after her, he knew the girl was headed to her bakery, so it probably wasn't strictly necessary, but there wasn't much point in a surveillance mission if he couldn't keep her in sight. I think it broke. Very sorry, are you okay? The man bowed his head apologetically. He must have been looking at his map as he walked. Judging from his awkward Japanese, he probably wasn't from around here. For some reason, there was a timid half-smile on his face. When Aihara followed the man's gaze down, he couldn't help shouting out loud. The rest of his suit was covered in thick gobs of ice cream. When he took another look, Aihara realized the man was holding a half-eaten cone in his other hand. Looked like one of those pat-pong shower numbers from that Busky Robinson place the kids were going to these days. Oh, sorry. Binda, bayo. Speaking cryptic words in a remorseful tone of voice, the man started rubbing at Ahara's suit with his bare hands.
こら伸ばすな余計に汚れるじゃないかもういいやめろ
Why are you dying?
おいやめろってどこ触ってんだよもういいからあっち行けよ
What language is that? This is not good. Gathering as much attention at a tailing job was a huge blunder. While warding off the man persistently trying to clean his suit, Ahara hurriedly turned his head in search of Grisaia Makina, but the girl was already gone. At least he hadn't been outright discovered by the subject of his surveillance, but continuing to tail her after this would be very difficult. It'd probably be best to withdraw for the moment, but then resume shadowing the girl after she finished at her part-time job.
もういいって言ってるだろお前不法就労者じゃないだろうな
The man visibly flinched at the word illegal. Finally, abandoning his attempt at brushing off Ihara's clothing, he pulled his cap down even lower over his eyes. And with this parting remark, the man in the work uniform beat a hasty retreat.
何なんだ
Whatever the case, things just hadn't worked out today. Ihara reached inside his jacket to switch off his IC recorder, and in the next instant, he let out another reflexive shout. The slim metal recorder that had been in his interior jacket pocket was gone. When Ihara moved his hand to the opposite pocket, the cell phone he'd left there was also missing. Disbelieving, he reached to the rear pocket of his pants to discover even his wallet had vanished.
やられた
He quickly spun around, but the suspicious foreign laborer had completely disappeared.
嘘だろ
Now Yuki Ihara fought a powerful urge to lie down on the sidewalk and curl up into a ball. Die, 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 macaroni. In a narrow, dim alleyway 2 streets removed from the station plaza, a laborer was sitting on a stack of beer cases and humming the Lightspeed General Die Makarov theme song to himself. His attention was focused on a certain wallet, the fruit of his day's labors. There were 17,000 yen in bills inside. A small purse had another 657 in coins. Not a big haul by any means, but nothing to turn up your nose at. Inside the card sleeve, there was an ATM card from a bank, credit card, patient registration ticket from a dentist, and proof of membership at a video rental shop. There's also a driver's license for standard cars with a gold stripe. Other than that, we've got 20 convenience store coupons. Considering he's walking around with them, doesn't look like these get used too often. Methodical, but a little too much pride for his own good. The back of the dentist ticket revealed that its owner last visited only a half year ago. The man must have been going for regular checkups to have tartar scraped off or what have you. Definitely the methodical type. Ihara Naoyuki-san. Naturally, the back of the driver's license was unblemished by violations. It was a genuine gold license. The man snapped open a small aluminum case he slipped along with the wallet, finding the inside full of business cards. An IGS kid, huh? I see.
おい、そこで何をしている?
The man in the work uniform knew that voice all too well, and this wasn't the first time he'd been rendered half blind by that overly bright flashlight either. Softly clicking his tongue, he got to his feet.
おいおい、風見さんよ、
Hmm?
またあんたか。いい加減にしてくれないか。
Hey, it's not like I did anything this time, you know.
あんた、なんだその格好。ついに学校をクビになって就職でもしたのか？
I'm a working student. This is the uniform for my part-time job.
なんか怪しいな。あんた、こんなとこで何やってたんだい？
Not much. Happened to find a wallet over there, so I was looking it over to see if I could return it to the owner. So, did he just do that?
あんたが吸ったんじゃないだろうね。
Come on, I'm being a good Samaritan here, you know? Here, this is the wallet.
中身の金は残っているようだな。あんた、少し猫ばばしていたりしないだろうな。
I'm not desperate enough to steal other people's money. I work for my food, as you can see.
そうか。いや、冗談だ。申し訳ない。
More importantly, it seemed like the owner had some business cards in there.
ああ、これか。何々？ IGS 探偵社調査員伊原直之か。
A detective, huh? Guessing from the contents of his wallet, it doesn't seem like that lucrative a profession.
あんた、中身を見たのか？
Well, yeah, of course. That a crime now?
いや、そういうわけじゃないが。
IGS Detective Company, the Izuka General Security Private Investigative Agency, right? Wasn't that Izuku Satoru guy who runs it a Sakura Demon
詳
Hollow?
しいの？
Huh? Her name's pretty famous, that's all. Oh, but I did hear they dabble in some behind-the-scenes political jobs as well. Any truth to that?
知らんよ。とにかくこの財布は俺が預かっておく。一緒に交番まで来てくれ。
What, again? Your boss isn't going to be too happy if you drag me back in.
そうは言ってもな、習得者の氏名と連絡先を聞くのが手順だからな。
Why not just say you're the one who found it? Even if you write my name down, Ichigai is just going to have the paper torn up. You'd only be making trouble for yourself.
しかし。
Okay, here, give me that wallet for a minute.
どうするつもりだ？
I'm going to drop it on the ground. Then you're going to pick it up. That way, you won't be falsifying your documents.
わかったよ。俺がここで拾ったことにすればいいんだろ。
Why not at least pretend to pick it up?
はいはい。お、こんなところに財布が落ちているじゃないか。これでいいか？
Good job. Oh, or take these two.
携帯電話と、なんだこれは。
A voice recorder. Unfortunately, somebody or other seems to have cleared the memory. It was just lying here with the wallet.
おい、本当にあんたが吸ったんじゃないだろうな。
Word of advice, don't ask any more questions. I'm willing to bet your life's going to go a lot smoother that way.
確かにな。あんたのことは黙認しろと上から言われているけどな、風見さんよ。俺は犯罪を見て見ぬふりをするために警官になったわけじゃないぞ。
And I'm not saying you should. You have my word. I'm not looking to make you complicit in any evil doing on my part.
風見さんよ。あんた、本当に迷惑だな。
Human beings can't live without inconveniencing others.
まあいいさ。俺はここで財布を拾っただけだ。あんたにも会っていない。それでいいんだな。
That works. Speaking from experience, people who know when to keep their mouth shut get ahead in life faster. You'll climb the ladder in no time.
嬉しかねえな。
Okay, I'll be going now.
あんまり仕事増やしてくれるなよ。次は本当に逮捕するぞ。
I'll watch my step. Starving highway robbers in war-torn countries will murder people for a single can of food. Comparatively speaking, a filched wallet is hardly worth whining about, right? Not that I'm dumb enough to voice the thought. When people are raised in different environments, they'll naturally look at the exact same things in very different ways. But I'm not complaining. A peaceful way of life, not seeing things best left unseen, ignorant of facts best left unknown, needs to be supported from the shadows. And that's the one and only reason anyone would bother keeping trash like me around. Well, that looks like it went well. IGS Detective Agency, a major private investigation company, profitable enough to plaster ads across giant billboards in front of Tokyo train stations, well known for its founder, the former Sakura demon big shot Satoru Izuka. Lately, the man's been getting a lot of face time as a security expert on news programs and such, earning plenty of free publicity for his agency. It's a well-known, respectable business. But IGS is also well-versed in shady political dealings, thanks to a tendency to offer retired employees lucrative advisory jobs. For a private business, you hear a lot of rumors about their involvement with incidents concerning the establishment. In reality, however, they do seem to know where to draw the line. IGS claims to be a completely independent private company with no tolerance for illegal behavior, and it doesn't seem to be just a pretense. The fact that one of their employees was investigating Makina's behavior means that her enemies are still in the exploratory stage for now. Those people aren't going to harm her even if I leave them alone. The question is how long that harmless observation will continue and what comes after it. I decided to try and analyze the situation from the ground up. There are 4 basic questions here. Why? Who? How? And finally, what do I do about it? Why is Makina being targeted? She was removed from her position as the successor of her family because of health problems, but now her recovery has been confirmed. Simple as that. Until now, Makina's good health hadn't been public knowledge. That was protecting her. Otherwise, the girl probably would have been targeted the moment she was discharged from the hospital. Next question, who is targeting Makina? Logically speaking, it's the people who be inconvenienced by her return as the future head of the Irisu. In other words, the branch house or its allies. Learning that Makina had recovered, the main family attempted to murder the branch family's figurehead, her half-sister. In retaliation, the branch family is beginning to maneuver behind the scenes, most likely aiming at removing Makina from the equation. And as for how that powerful faction inside the Arisu intends to treat Makina from now on. For the moment, they're still gathering information, but once they're satisfied with the investigation, they'll probably move to take more direct action against her. Since she's staying put for the moment, I'm anticipating they'll begin with a harassment campaign to intimidate her, but there's a definite chance that might progress into attempts on her life. In the end, what do I do? The answer's not going to change, no matter who I'm up against. That said, there's a possibility of this opponent choosing to come at us with force of arms, and we don't have the personnel or equipment to resist. In that case, how about seizing the initiative? Better to crush cockroaches before they hatch. Take it one step further, and it's most efficient to kill the mother roach before she can even lay her eggs. Of course, if I try anything along those lines, there won't be any turning back. My employer would no doubt hunt me down, but I'd rather die keeping her safe than live as a slave to the national interest. Whoa, Sakaki, what's wrong? Seems I was a little too deeply lost in thought. I didn't even notice Sakaki until she was standing right in front of me.
どうしたじゃないでしょ。
With this remark, Sakaki abruptly reaches out for my face and tightly seizes my cheeks between her thumbs and forefingers. Ouch, why are you...
ひどい顔ね。
Maybe you could stop pinching me then.
何を思い詰めているのか知らないけれど、あんまり怖い顔をしていると女の子に嫌われるわよ。
Say what?
鏡を見てごらんなさいな。あなたの目、どろりと濁った中にもギラギラと底光りしていて、まるでけだもののような目をしているわよ。
Mineral, he's, you know.
冗談を言う余裕はあるよね。あなた、さっき小峰さんに声をかけられたこと気がついていた？
As he was when...
ほんの数分前のことよ。ここであなたを見かけて何度か声をかけたのだそうだけれど、返事もしないし、追い詰められた獣のような恐ろしい顔をしていたので、それ以上は声をかけることもできなかったそうよ。
I see. Sorry, got a little lost in thought.
殺気という言葉が適切なのかはわからないけれど、あなたがここでそうしているだけで寮全体の空気がピリピリするようだわ。そういう顔をあまりうちの子たちに見せないでほしいのだけれど。
Our kids.
うちの学園の子という意味よ。私の子供のことじゃなくて。
You have children?
ないわよ。
That's the hook. I try my best to smile, but I just can't seem to get it right. I suppose the fact that Sakaki's pinching my cheeks with renewed vigor has something to do with that, but that's not the only problem. The girl's right, I'm on edge, to the point of unconsciously projecting a menacing aura. In fact, it's pretty darn impressive that Sakaki managed to pinch my cheeks under those circumstances. I look at her with just a little admiration in my eyes. My bad. Exhaling deeply as if to clear out a mass of bad air gone stagnant in my lungs. I let the tension drain from my shoulders, then unclench my fists. Sakaki, who'd been glaring at me irritably all this time, peers deep into my eyes to confirm I've regained lucidity.
よし。
Then briefly nods and releases my smarting cheeks at last.
イリスさん絡みのことで何かあったのね。
Why do you know that?
悪いとは思ったのだけれど、イリスさんのことを少し調べさせてもらったわ。彼女、書類上ではまだ当主の座にいるようね。妹さんはあくまでも代理という立場みたい。
What does that mean?
つまり正式な辞任がなされていないということなのよ。
But the girl's not interested in inheriting. She made that very plain to her grandfather.
イリス家だって一枚岩ではないし、そう簡単な話ではないことはあなたも知っているでしょ。いくら本人が辞めたいと言っても、はいそうですかというわけにはいかないのね。
Then what can we do?
そうね。ちゃんとした話し合いの席で立会人の同席のもと、正式な辞任手続きを済ませて後任に委ねるのね。そう簡単にはいかないでしょうけれど。
Why not? It sounds pretty straightforward.
宗家を勝ち馬として支えてきた人たち、これまで宗家に融資を受けてきた関連企業や海外提携企業、宗家の代表が主権から外れると不利益を被る人たちが黙ってはいないでしょ。これは私が勝手に計算した結果だけれど、もし現時点でイリス家の主権が分家に移った場合、国内流通、小売、製造、海外輸出入を含むと約 7% の景気後退が発生する見込みになるわね。
7% across the entire country?
ええ、そう。全世界的に見れば 1.7% の損失よ。数年前から続く世界恐慌に拍車がかかるわね。さしずめイリスショックといったところかしら。
In other words, Makina saying no would impact the entire world.
そういうこと。どんな理由があろうと逃げ出せない、それが許されない世界というものは存在するのね。
Makina's still a child, Sakaki.
イリスさんは宗家が掲げる旗印なのよ。大人かどうかなんて関係ないわ。
What feudal nonsense. They just want to use the blood in their veins.
かわいそうだけれど、それが彼女の生まれ持った業なのよ。
Is there nothing we can do about that?
だからゆっくりと時間をかけて主権を移譲しつつ、20年ぐらいかけて正式に辞任するか、あとは
There's an alternative.
あと3年間逃げ回るか。
3 years? What happens in 3 years?
イリスさんが健康上の理由で当主の座を妹さんに預けたのが7年前。10年間当主の任に復帰することができなければ、彼女は家督相続権を強制的に剥奪されるのよ。
In other words, if she doesn't return to her old position within the next 3 years.
そう、イリスさんは権利をすべて剥奪されて普通の女の子になるわ。
3 years, huh? For me alone, disappearing for 3 years wouldn't be impossible. But if I'm taking Makina along as well, the situation almost certainly wouldn't be so simple. The main house will be using all their power to search for her. And the Branch family too would no doubt try to take the opportunity to secure their position by assassinating Makina while she's on the run and vulnerable.
少なくともイリスさんがこの学園にいる間は安全が保証されてはいるのだけれど、その約束もどこまで守られることやら。
I don't understand. What connection is there between the Irisu and this school?
関わりというほどのことでもないのだけれど、イリスさんをこの学園に入学させたのは分家筋の人間なのよ。
Members of the Branch family put her here. Why?
つまりイリスさんをこの学園で3年間隔離すれば彼女の家督相続権は剥奪されるでしょ。宗家側にはイリスさんが退院したことすら伝えずにそっと入れ物を移してしまったというわけね。事実、宗家側は最近までイリスさんの退院すら知らされていなかったし、彼女がいた病院には分家側が用意した影武者まで仕込んであったというのだから周到な計画だったようね。
My head's starting to hurt. So, in other words, as long as she stays in this school, under the Branch family's control, Makina's safe. Is that what you're telling me?
妹さんが爆発に巻き込まれる前の話ならそういうことになるけれど。
But the status quo has already been broken.
その通り。
No choice but to crush the eggs after all.
またそうやって怖い顔をする。もう一度つねる？
What is going on? Oh, Kazagaki,
冷静になりなさい。あなた一人でどうにかできる問題ではないということは理解できたでしょ？
Yeah, I understand, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying.
強情。
She's the one thing in the world I decided to protect of my own will, not because someone ordered me to. I can't very well back down, can I?
少しだけイリスさんが羨ましいと思うのは他人事が過ぎるかしら。
Better not say that in front of her, at least.
何にせよ今日明日でどうにかなる問題ではないわ。宗家と分家も今はお互いに責任のなすりつけ合いと言いがかりの掛け合いに忙しいようだし、私の調べられる範囲であれば何か変化があったら教えてあげるからしばらく静観してみては。
I suppose so. I don't know what to do about any of this. Everything's just so complicated right now. Just as Sakaki said, there are no immediate changes in Makina's everyday life. She's able to follow her usual routine without incident. We gotta figure this out somehow. I just don't know how. Bye.